Hello again, everyone. So I'm going to do the fourth devotional in this week leading up to Easter. We've already heard from Jack, that rather solemn devotional from yesterday, and today the same sort of feeling continues when we read about how the soldiers mocked Jesus. So the passage is taken from Matthew chapter 27, verses 27 to 31. And it says, "Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. 'Hail, King of the Jews,' they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him away to crucify him." So reading that passage and looking into the context of it, it seems that the soldiers, they seem to take great joy in making a mockery of Jesus by caricaturing their prisoner's kingly claim. These soldiers actually probably were most likely not Roman legionaries. They would have been non-Jewish citizens recruited from surrounding areas, and so they probably had no love for the Jewish race. To then have a Jewish king at their mercy, this would have given them a chance to indulge in just unthinkable anti-Semitic prejudice. And this scene is believed to have taken place on the pavement outside a convent. The robe would have been a military cloak, a red cape that belonged to one of the soldiers, and it would have been chosen to parody that of the emperor's purple cloak. The staff would have been a reed that represents a royal scepter, and the thorns are likely to have been that of a species of date palm, whose thorns or spikes could actually be up to 12 inches long, and they'd have been arranged in a form of a royal crown, as inspired by divine rulers in the Hellenistic world and Greek mythology. It's quite interesting because in verse 31, it says that they took the cloak off and put on his own clothes again and led him away to be crucified, which is strange, as normally crucifixions, the perpetrator would have actually been just led out naked to be crucified. So perhaps the fact that they gave him his clothes was an allowance for the fact that he was Jewish and to appease the Jewish sensibility of those watching, because Jews actually found nakedness to be offensive. It's quite interesting because this passage can really hit us hard when we read it. Even though the words that are used in Matthew is actually just very matter of fact. It's a very non-emotional paragraph, and the brutality and cruelty is just simply recited. However, each fact can hit us hard like a lightning bolt as we think about the pain that Jesus went through. And for believers, our hearts break when we read these words. So what's a very emotionless account can actually draw up a lot of emotion within us. If I just take what's said and put it in layman's term, essentially it says, they took his clothes and put on a robe. They put a crown of thorns on his head. They put a mock scepter in his hand. They mocked him as king. They spat on him. They beat him with a stick to his head. They led him away to be crucified. Our beloved Jesus. This is a really important passage, and one that I think we should read often and feel convicted by, as these are more than just historical facts. These events are the basis of our salvation and the cost paid to redeem us of our sin. He's our king, and we bow down to him, and he rules forever, and yet he withheld his power and suffered this horrible turn of events for one reason: because he loves us and he wants relationship with us. So I hope that that passage just blesses you today, and that it gives you pause to think about what he did.